It's rarely the loud ones who last, the ones who post every milestone, chase every trend, talk about grind. Funny thing is, the most successful people you'll ever meet don't look like they're sprinting. They move differently. Quietly, no rush, no noise, no need to prove anything. They understand something most people miss. Success isn't a moment, it's a rhythm. A pace that feels boring to outsiders but unstoppable over time. The truth is, success has traits, not tactics, and those traits aren't flashy. They're invisible at first glance, but they shape everything: your choices, your focus, your peace. By the end of this video, you'll see what they all share. Not the habits you copy, but the mindset you build from the inside out. Because when you finally understand what really drives success, you stop chasing momentum and start becoming the kind of person who never loses it. Chapter 1. Clarity over chaos. The most successful people you'll ever meet aren't juggling the most. They're protecting the few things that truly matter. They've learned that being busy is easy. Anyone can fill a calendar. What's rare is knowing why you're doing what you're doing. Most people mistake movement for meaning. They chase every idea, say yes to every request, and call it ambition. But real success doesn't come from doing more. It comes from doing what matters most with quiet conviction. Clarity doesn't appear in the noise. It's born in stillness. In that pause before you act, where you ask yourself, is this helping me build the life I actually want? That single question separates growth from distraction. Because when you finally decide what deserves your energy, peace follows. You stop scattering yourself thin. You start moving with precision. And from that moment on, you realize clarity isn't about knowing everything. It's about finally knowing what to ignore. Chapter 2. Discipline without drama. The people who win long-term don't chase motivation. They build structure. You'll never hear them say, "I wasn't in the mood today." They just show up, quietly, consistently, without applause. But here's the thing. It's not mechanical. It's respect. They understand that doing what you said you'd do isn't punishment. It's self-trust in action. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows a little stronger. Most people burn out because they treat discipline like a cage. All intensity, no rhythm. But the disciplined, they treat it like music. Steady, measured, sustainable. They make their habits simple enough to repeat, boring enough to last, and real enough to matter. They know progress isn't built from grand gestures. It's built from ordinary days done right. So when you catch yourself waiting for inspiration, stop. Do one small thing anyway. Because discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. And that quiet repetition, that's what turns effort into identity. Chapter 3. Emotional control over everything. The higher someone climbs, the quieter their reactions become. It's not because the world suddenly becomes kind, it's because they've learned to stay still when it storms. Success doesn't belong to the smartest or the loudest. It belongs to the most stable. Because you can't lead, create, or grow when every emotion pulls you off balance. Emotionally strong people still feel deeply. Frustration, doubt, fear. They just refuse to let those feelings drive the car. They've mastered the pause. That brief space between trigger and response where clarity lives. When life pushes, they don't push back. They observe, adjust, and move forward with intent. When things fall apart, they don't dramatize it. They learn from it quietly. Because while most people spend their lives chasing highs and escaping lows, they build roots deep enough to handle both. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's direction. And that steadiness, that calm in motion, that's what real strength looks like. Chapter 4. Learning as a lifestyle. Every truly successful person I've known has one unshakable trait. They never stop being a student. No matter how far they've come, they keep that beginner's hunger alive. They ask questions that others are too proud to ask. They read like detectives, listen like apprentices, and treat curiosity like oxygen. Not for appearance, but for evolution. They understand that the moment you believe you've arrived, you quietly start declining. Because growth doesn't end, it just changes shape. Learning for them isn't something they schedule. It's how they breathe. They study their habits, their mistakes, their patterns, not with judgment, but with fascination. They don't hoard information, they extract meaning. And when failure comes, they mine it for lessons instead of losses. So try this shift. Stop asking, how fast can I get there? And start asking, what can this moment teach me? Because success isn't permanent, it's rented. And the rent is paid in curiosity, humility, and the courage to begin again. Chapter 5. Long-term patience, short-term urgency. The most successful people live in two timelines at once. They think in decades, but they act like every day counts. That balance, patience with urgency, is what keeps them grounded and growing. Most people swing like a pendulum, either rushing toward shortcuts or waiting endlessly for the right time. But those who win hold both truths in their hands. They build like farmers, not gamblers, planting seeds that won't sprout tomorrow, yet showing up to water them anyway. They understand that growth doesn't announce itself. It compounds quietly beneath the surface until one day it looks sudden to everyone else. Their urgency isn't panic, it's precision. They move fast on what matters, slow on what lasts. They treat each day like a brick, small, imperfect, but essential to the bigger structure. Because time compounds just like money. Every thoughtful hour, every disciplined choice, it multiplies later. They're not obsessed with speed. They're obsessed with staying in motion long enough to win. Chapter 6. Integrity as non-negotiable. Real success isn't just measured by results. It's measured by how clean your hands stay while achieving them. The people who last don't trade their values for convenience. They'd rather lose an opportunity than lose themselves. And it's not about moral perfection, it's about inner alignment. Because when you start cutting corners, you don't just break rules, you break rhythm. You teach your mind that shortcuts are acceptable, and slowly your foundation begins to crack. Those who endure know that trust, both with others and within themselves, is a form of power. It builds doors that talent alone can't open. They keep their word even when no one's checking, and that quiet consistency becomes their reputation. That's where true confidence comes from. Not noise, not validation, but self-respect. In a world obsessed with results, integrity looks slow, but it's the only way to succeed without self-destruction. Because success without integrity isn't success, it's achievement without peace. Chapter 7. Obsession with progress, not perfection. Here's the final trait. They're obsessed with getting better, not being seen as better. While most people spend their energy polishing the surface, they're busy refining the core. They don't chase applause or appearances. They chase growth. 1 inch, 1 lesson, 1 honest attempt at a time. And when they fail, they don't spiral. They study, adjust, move again. Their focus isn't on being flawless, it's on being functional. Because perfection might look pretty, but it kills momentum. Progress, on the other hand, builds it, quietly, compounding over time. They know that the only real competition worth caring about is the person they were yesterday, and that every messy attempt, every awkward beginning is still evidence of movement. So they keep going. Not for validation, but for evolution. No noise, no rush. Just steady, deliberate improvement. Because that's the truth about unstoppable people. They're not chasing perfection. They're too busy becoming unrecognizable to who they used to be. Real success doesn't shout, it hums. It's built in quiet hours and choices that don't get likes or applause. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. Just keep practicing the traits that make growth inevitable. Clarity, discipline, patience, integrity. Because success isn't a finish line you chase. It's a rhythm you learn to move with slowly, steadily, deliberately. If this spoke to you, subscribe. And share it with someone who's been chasing speed when direction was all they needed.